All right. Welcome, everyone, to the team call. I know a lot of people listen, during the week. And happy Easter to all of you as well. So we're going to continue. This is the third week, actually, of our, what is our group called?
Mega Recruiters.
Yes, Mega Recruiters. Did you all
Maybe,
get your shirts? Did you guys get your shirts?
Yeah.
Did you, Katie? Good. I got mine too. Bettina, did you get yours?
I did. Love it.
Good.
Yes,
And Rebecca.
very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, so I know, welcome, Jessica. I know, Heather and Jessica, you'll be in our Mega Recruiters Club. I know you will be. So, so we're just talking about the first thing that you get is a shirt, Ice Impact shirt that Jess and I buy for you. So congratulations. And then once you get to 50 enrollments, you get it's kind of like when you have your 5-year anniversary, 10-year anniversary, the prize gets better every year. So there you go, shoot for 50. So we have, our guests for this week are the lovely Katie Wiederholt and Bettina Stevens. So how we've done it in the past, you guys, is I'll ask a question, and then if you guys can answer it, it's kind of a question answer thing. And then if you have questions for any of you at the end, or actually, do you want to do questions at the end, or is it okay if they just ask questions at the time you guys prefer?
Either way.
Okay. So I guess just raise your hand and, we'll go from there. So, and you guys can unmute your line at that time. So I will, we'll just very casual because we can't wait to learn from you. And I said to Megan actually today, because Katie, I know you, I'm like, I'm so excited to hear Bettina because number one, I've never seen her before, like in real life, but I still haven't, but I feel like I'm seeing you now because you came out of the woodwork. Nobody knows who Bettina Stevens is. All of a sudden, she's like this. My ISA pulse is going crazy because Bettina Stevens is. I'm like, who is this girl?
Exactly.
So, if you guys can start out by just kind of introducing yourself and telling us your why and how you came to Isagenix and what was the turning point where you were like, I want to share this. I want it to be something that I want to share the love with others. So who wants to go first? Katie, Bettina?
I can go first.
Okay.
So hello, everyone. As she said, I'm Katie Wiederholt, and I am married to Ann's older brother, Matt. Sorry. Weird. I don't know where that came from, but so yeah, I was introduced to Isagenix through Wiederholt family, and I've been using Isagenix products for about 3.5 years now already. And I was shocked that Ann and Jess gave me the title as the Mega Recruiter, and I still laugh at that because I don't feel like I'm a rock star in this business by any means. And when they invited me to share on this call, I was like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to share anything more than what anybody else has shared. And that just got me thinking that and reflecting on my journey, and that it's really not that difficult. And I think that we make it more difficult than it is. And so I'm a nurse. I work part-time. I work in the birth center, and I am a nurse educator. I'm not at the bedside anymore, and I love being able to work part-time and providing that balance with my family. And then I think you asked about my why, and my why kind of is always changing. And honestly, for some people, I think they know what their why is right away and they go at it. But for me, it's like I have to think about it, what really is my why. And I know my why is that I love these products, and I know that they've made a difference in my life and in my family's life. And when you see that sort of difference in yourself, it's like you can't help but to share it. It's too good not to share. And we know that we live in a nutritionally depleted world. And Everybody deserves to have this nutrition. And as a nurse, I just feel like I have the heart to share that with people from there. And then as I've grown in this business, we've gotten to the point where our products are paid for now, just about, pretty much. And then I'm kind of starting to dream a little bit bigger. Like, what if I pushed a little more and earned a little bit more? What kind of doors would that open for me and for my family? Would I be able to give more, travel more, maybe work less? So that's sort of a little bit about my why and myself. Did you ask anything else, Anne?
That's it.
Or is it?
Sorry, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, no, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Bettina.
Yep. So yeah, I'm Bettina. I'm from Charlottesville, Virginia, and I'm a physical therapist here. So I work in outpatient orthopedics, so mainly with athletes, dancers, and then I see a general population too. So I was first introduced to Isagenix just through Jess, Uganda adoption purposes, and just kind of watching her share. And so we got home in November of 2015 with our 2 boys, and we lived in Africa for 4 months for their adoption. So kind of a crazy scenario, and then came back home and was just completely culture shocked going from a mom of no kids to a mom of 2 4-year-old boys who both have a lot of need. And I just completely lost myself in, motherhood. So I stopped exercising. I wasn't working. I pretty much stopped everything I loved doing for myself, just to take care of them. And so I was a mess. By the time Jess got to me, I was pretty lonely and depressed, and I just was eating terrible, and I was just in a really bad place. So, I remember after seeing Jess's post so many times, I finally told my husband, I just feel like I should try it. Right? I really have nothing to lose. I already feel miserable, so I may as well just try it. And so, for me, it was instant, day 7, I went from not wanting to cook dinner, having no motivation to do anything, to I love to cook. I love to bake. I wanted to do all that stuff again. I felt good. I wanted to exercise. It was just such an amazing transformation for me, physically and emotionally. So I kind of went from a place where I was why aren't more people doing this? This totally changed my whole life. And so for me, initially, it was I just want to get my products paid for. Because I want to keep doing this, but we have no money. We just did a double adoption at the same time. We just lived in Africa for 4 months. We literally have no money. And so, so I just started kind of sharing it. Well, actually, I didn't really start sharing it. People started asking me what are you doing? Because you're a totally different person than the girl you just were. And so I just kind of started sharing very meekly. And then once I kind of got a few people enrolled and just saw their transformation too, I was man, this has a lot of validity, and just totally changing people's lives. And so then it really became a passion for me, just especially with moms and adoptive moms, and just helping them find who they are and what they love, and finding who they are in themselves and in God again, versus finding themselves in just their kids. So, I'm sure you guys have all seen my posts. It's just really become a ministry for me to be able to kind of pour into people and bless them in a way that I never thought I would get to again. So it's been a really amazing journey. And then now my why is we are on adoption number 3 of our little girl from China. And I want to stay home with her. I don't want to go back to work if I don't have to. And right now there's no way I wouldn't be able to go back to work. So my goal is to replace my salary at my job right now this year with Isagenix. So I'm really pushing hard for Crystal Executive, because I want to get there and I want to be able to provide for my family, but also have the freedom to stay home without making my husband totally stressed out, and with finances and all that looks like. So so that's my why.
Awesome. I love that. And, I found too, I think for everyone, your why is evolving. And once you hit something, because I remember when Jess first said to me, dream, I'm
What?
you don't know how, because you're just so much into the day to day, like you don't know how to dream. And when you actually understand and get that, yes, you can think way outside the box and it's attainable, it's actually very, very exciting. So that's awesome. I love that. So, okay, so we have two moms here that have young kids at home. So what does your schedule look like for each of you? Like, when do you fit Isagenix in? Do you block out time? How do you do that within, either a day-to-day basis or week? But as far as you're working your Isagenix business, working your job, being a mom, being a wife, how do you guys each do it?
So as I said, I work part-time, 3 to 4 days a week. My husband is the principal at where my kids go to school, and he takes the girls to school with him. They leave in the morning around 7, and then I don't leave until 7:30. And so between 7 and 7:30 is usually when I'll listen to a podcast when I'm getting ready to go to work. But I will also check my phone for messages and follow-ups from the day before. So I've really been trying to consciously use that half hour that I have in the morning productively. And it sort of sets my mindset for the day and makes me feel right off the bat that, okay, I've done something productive for Isagenix during that time. And then I usually don't get home from work until around 5, 4:30 or 5. And then that's when the busyness of supper and homework and baths and just all the things that I need to do and want to do at home for my family. So I'm usually shut off for a while there. And honestly, I'll fit in a few, maybe like half hour, 45 minutes before we settle into bed. And then honestly, I usually turn my phone off at like 8:30 at night. I mean, I know that's early for most people, but then I try to use that time again in the morning if I'm up early. So truly, like everybody else says, just fit it into the pockets of my life when I can. I don't have a job where I can be on my computer a lot. So I try to make contacts, with the people that I work with, always have my Isagenix bottle with me, make connections and create curiosity that way. So that's my day.
Yeah. So then for me, I also have a job where I can't really be on my computer or contacting people, Facebook or anything like that. But I get up at 4:45 typically, and I do like some quiet time with God, and then I go to the gym for an hour because I start work at 7:30 in the morning. And I have about a 25-minute commute. So typically I will, like you guys said, listen to podcasts or that kind of stuff on my drive into work, just to kind of get myself focused. And then work, yeah, I can't really do anything there except I do share, with my patients, especially because I work in an orthopedic setting. So lots of people coming in who have weight issues or, lots of other comorbidities they're dealing with. So I will often share, if I feel it's appropriate, about what I did. And then a lot of times people will ask for follow up and, I'll give them info, whatever that looks like. So that seems to be helpful. And then same, I always have my water bottle and I wear my, Isagenix stuff to the gym and that kind of stuff. So people typically see me working out and ask, what are you doing or what are you using, which is pretty cool. And then for me, same, I pick up my boys right after I get off of work, and then life is crazy until they're in bed. And then it just kind of varies. My evenings vary. Like some nights I will set aside dedicated time, but typically that's time with my family. But I don't work Wednesdays and Fridays. So typically I have Wednesday and Friday mornings that I'm kid free, that I kind of block out, a couple hours at those times to do the bulk of my follow-ups and reaching out to new people and all of that kind of stuff, just to make sure, I'm keeping up with things, updating. I do a spreadsheet. So kind of updating that and making sure I didn't miss anybody and kind of going through that kind of stuff, which is helpful for me just to have a focus. And then I often use, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Trello app, but I often use Trello to help keep me organized with like what I want to accomplish each day. And then I can just slide things over to the next day if I don't get it done. But it just helps me kind of organize my thoughts throughout the week. So yeah, so I don't necessarily I wouldn't say I have business hours, but I definitely try to do the bulk of my time when I have some free time in the morning on Wednesday and Fridays.
So this is not one of the questions that Jess gave, so be prepared. I'm going to throw you a curveball. Okay, so because you guys are busy moms, like I mean, we're all busy women, but with juggling kids and because we're doing this in the pockets of our lives, what have you guys found to be, or have you found, because I'm dying to know what works for you guys, and I'm sure others do too, like what do you find is the most effective way to get somebody's attention or to reach out or to, pique somebody's interest where they want more information?
So like face-to-face at work, is that what you mean, or what?
Well, like you find, because we've talked about different ways to touch base with people, like some people want to build a relationship first. Some people are just straightforward and, this is why I thought of you. What have you guys found have you found one way to be more effective than another?
I'll go. I'm a pretty blunt gal. I don't really beat around the bush very often. So typically if it's someone that I have a prior relationship with that's fairly good, I will just be like, hey, I've been doing this thing and I've been thinking about you and I think you should do it with me. And I've had quite a few enrollments from that way, just kind of sitting, basically I typically do voice messages instead of video messages. Just normally my kids are so loud and all over the place. But I will often do voice messages and just kind of share my heart with them and like why they came to mind. And I try to be pretty detailed with why I feel like they should do it and like what I feel like prompted me to contact them in the first place. And I think that's been really effective overall with, I think just like getting people's butt in gear, but B, just like showing that you genuinely care about them and you feel like, it would be a great thing for them to do. So that's a big part of it for me. And then, yeah, like typically I get a lot of private messages from my posts. So I think people like when you're authentic and not just like a fake person, that I'm not great all the time and I do struggle with things. And so I do get quite a few private messages just from like sharing my heart and just being real and honest through social media and just contacting people that way. So I typically make a lot of like strange connections, friends of friends or whatever that looks like, who have enrolled as well, which is pretty cool.
I will say, Bettina, you have great posts. Where does she come up with this stuff?
I know.
So if you guys don't follow Bettina, follow her because they're so good. I'm like, they're fabulous. I love them. Like, I'm jealous because I am not a good poster. So I'm looking at Bettina all the time. Oh, Katie, do you have?
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with what Bettina said. I think what I found is that it's helpful to have that relationship, to take the time initially to build the trust before, I would dive into why I feel like Isagenix would help them. You have to have that trust, I think, in order to bring the business into it, or the sale, I guess. So my last couple of enrollments, or at least one of the recent ones, was someone who was having some family issues and just dealing with some personal issues. And I recognized that in her. It was just kind of like a feeling that I had. And so I reached out to her with that, like, hey, this is what I've noticed, what's going on. And then I really felt and knew that Isagenix would make a difference in her life. And so that was kind of my avenue for introducing it to her. But it was very natural and real because we had that relationship. So I think it can work if you don't have a relationship, but I think for me, from what I found, it's just easier if you do.
All right. So how do you, and you guys talked a little bit about this, do you have anything you want to add as far as creating curiosity? I know you guys, obviously your Facebook posts, you guys mentioned, just carrying your water bottles, Bettina, you wearing Isagenix gear. to the gym. Do you do other things to create curiosity, or do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, when I'm at work, because I spend a lot of time at work and I have a lot of Isagenix contacts at work, if they're sitting at the nurse's station, I'll kind of purposely wait until there's a group of nurses there so that we can, and then I can ask, well, how's it going today? Or what have you done? Or how are you feeling? So that there's other people within an earshot that can hear her response, because I know she's loving it and having good success with it. And so I like to do that. It that way. Everybody else is eating or they're ordering pizza, and I am perfectly fine with saying, no, I'm not going to order out today. I'm going to have my shake. And they're like, you never eat. What's wrong with you? And I used to be like, take offense to that in the beginning and not want to share that I was taking a shake instead of ordering pizza. But now it's like, it's so easy for me and good to say, I don't feel good. If I ate that Chinese or that pizza with you, it's expensive. My shake is $2.85 and I'm going to feel so much better. And so then it's like that sort of creates that, oh, well, maybe I should do that. Or, they get thinking about it. And then I have days when a couple of weeks ago, we celebrated Certified Nurses Day, and we each got some Betty Jane candies, chocolate, caramel, that they don't see me eat, but I was eating it. And they're like, Katie, what? Why? That's not part of your diet. And I'm like, of course, it's not a diet. If it's my lifestyle, I can eat this because I know that, a little bit is going to satisfy me. And I have the tools to get right back on track tomorrow. And so they're like, oh, yeah. So, I like to do little things like that at work. Go to meetings, taking my shake or my Isagenix bottle and skip the meal that they're serving. And that gets people's attention. And then I can, explain what I do and why I do and how I feel with Isagenix. I don't find that a lot of people respond to my posts, but when they see me, then they'll ask me. Like it just happened yesterday at work. I passed by somebody in the hall and she's like, hey, Katie, just a minute, come here. And so I came and she goes, at some point soon, I want to sit down and talk with you about Isagenix. And so over the years that I've just learned that, keep putting the posts out there. They still see them. They may not, comment or come right away, but when they're ready, they're going to come to you because they will be eventually ready for it. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Yeah, I'll be brief, but I typically do the same with my shake days, like mainly, especially with moms, like talking about the ease and convenience of how quick it is, that I know I'm getting great nutrition, that I don't have to think about my meals because it's enough to get your kids out the door and their lunch is done and ready and everything. But I also talk about the fact, because my kids were so malnourished, like my kids have shakes every morning too, and they love it. So I think like when you can compare and talk about like your family using the products too, I think people take a different approach to it a little bit, because then it's not a diet. It's like your family's doing it, it's safe, and it is a lifestyle that you're choosing to do. And so I often will utilize kind of just that conversation when I'm talking with people too.
Okay. I don't have the pro version of Zoom, so we have 7 minutes left before we get cut off. So I'm going to ask for one more question. I know I should just bite the bullet and pay for it, right? Okay. So what is your number one objection and how do you overcome it?
It's always money, and I'm prepared for that. And so now that I've been doing this for a while, because I'm prepared for it, I will use what you taught me, Anne, and whatever Chris Harder would say. Break it down for them, how much they're going to spend. First of all, you're replacing 2 meals. It's not going to be in addition to, your current grocery budget. So break it down for them that way. Ask them what 2 meals they want to replace and how much they think they spend. And so it makes it a little bit more palatable for them, so that they can see that they're just redirecting that money into something else. So for me, money.
And I love, Katie, how you were saying before at your lunch meeting or whatever, when you're like, I can get this shake for $2.85 and I feel amazing.
Yeah. And if I were to eat in the cafeteria, I would spend around $5 a meal.
Oh,
and so
at least. Yeah.
The nurses can relate to that. So that's,
yep.
I love to bring that up. Yeah. And then, you can lead right into the compensation plan. So if you get 2 people, you know, you're going to get half of your money back. And so that's always good to get that in early on in the conversation.
Before we get to you, Bettina, I always say to people too, I'm like, and if you don't like it, you can return it. What grocery store can you go to, eat all of your groceries except for a little, you know, like try it for 30 days, and if you don't like it, return it? Pretty much nowhere.
Yeah, finances is my biggest one too. But then I've also really, which I think we've touched on in some of the other calls the last couple of weeks, but just that, like, if money isn't the objection, it's because they're just not ready yet. And so I found that, you know, just continuing to chat with them and invest in them and figure out like what's actually holding them back has been really key for me. Because like one mom said it was finances, but then I literally offered to pay for half of it and she still didn't want to do it. So just like, you know, I think it's important to see like what people need in their lives, like what are they struggling with, you know, where do they need to invest their health, and then kind of talk with them about what their goals are from there. I've just found that to be really effective because, yeah, finances are the number one for almost everybody. But I think if there's a way around that, you know, which most of the time there is, it's just a matter of figuring out what is actually driving them and what do you need to meet in order for them to say yes to the thing, or to enroll. So I've taken a lot of time. I've met with people, talked with people on the phone, and just really tried to invest in them and figure out like what is actually driving them to say no right now, and how can we help you figure that out, kind of thing. And that's been just, I think, really helpful for me, to understand that like everyone's in a different place, and you really do just have to meet them where they are, even if that's just shakes or right. We just did the belly buster, just getting the belly buster stuff, and you know, just trying to get people in the door and really just changing their mindset so that they're willing to invest in their health. Because I think if they're not willing to do that for themselves, then they're not going to enroll.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions? We have a little over 3 minutes, so we have time for questions. Do you guys, Katie and Bettina, do you have any last minute like tips or things that you do? Or do you have a question, Rebecca?
It's not exactly a question, but I was just going to say, I'm so glad that both of you mentioned that you carry your ice gear, because I am actually really bad at that. I have a different water bottle. I have a glass water bottle, and that's usually what I carry around. But it's so funny because I was at, I have a little story just real quick. I was at an adoption event with Jess, and we sit down with our meals with a bunch of people that we don't know, and she's like, oh, I didn't get a water bottle because I brought my own, and she pulls out her Isagenix water bottle and kind of clicks it on the tabletop, and everyone like looks at it, right? So it's so funny, but that is so smart to just always have, I mean, even if it's just water, I could be carrying that with me.
So do you guys have any last minute tips or words of advice, or like I said, things that you've done? So Bettina, you use a spreadsheet and you find that to be successful, like just different things that you guys have done that has worked that you want to pass on to the team?
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but if you guys haven't heard of the Trello app, it's pretty awesome.
How do you spell that?
Trello. But it's just
Trello.
In a way to have an electronic to-do list, and so I can have it with me anywhere. But I just like every Sunday night I sit down and I put in all the things I want to do that week on what day, and then if you don't get it done, you just slide it over to the next day. But it just helps kind of organize your days, and you can make all kinds of to-do lists or whatever you want out of it. But super helpful for me to have anywhere I am, since I always have my phone on me, but not necessarily my computer.
Yep. Very cool. Thank you.
I guess I would say just lately I've learned never to really give up on people, because I've had so many people contact me that remember when we did the 21-day energy bus? I'm still having people a year later, or however long ago that was, come to me now and say, hey, I want more information, or what about this? And so that has taught me to continue that follow-up, continue that connection with them, that relationship, because at some point, I mean, who doesn't want Isagen? Everybody needs it. We can all benefit from it. So I keep thinking sooner or later they're going to come back and want more information. So I've just learned to, no's are necessarily not no. They're, I need more information or not now. And as long as you keep that connection and keep, you know, genuinely caring for them in an authentic friendship, you know.
Yep. Totally agree. Absolutely. I mean, after 3.5 years, we're still doing it, you know, for those of us, I mean.
Yeah, that speaks a lot too.
Yeah, Mandy. Yeah. All right, guys, we'll have less than a minute, so it's going to cut off anytime. But if you have any other questions, feel free to just add. I'll get this uploaded. Just feel free to add, and Bettina and Katie will be more than happy, I'm sure, to answer. So thank you so much, everybody.